Good day, everybody. Welcome to our open discussion live stream. And today we are going to discuss how to bring your meaning instead of doing things to find meaning. So this is all about imagining a world where you can actually live your meaning. And how would that look? So today we are going to discuss getting a glimpse of what peace evolution refers to as living your first choice self. And we actually extensively spoke about the first choice self in one of our previous sessions. You're welcome to watch our replay on our YouTube channel called I Don't Need Anything to Be Me. Let me just quickly bring up that banner for you that you can see that. There we go. You can have a look at that video. Okay, then if it's your first time joining, we are really happy to see you here. And we would like to encourage you to let us know what you think of this topic that we are discussing. And even if you disagree with what we're saying, you're welcome to add your comments in the chat or reactions. That would be great. Then if you feel like supporting peace evolution, please go to the little $ there on the chat panel where you can add your contributions through the super chat or super stickers. We are a startup organization that is trying to proliferate the message of a recipe for inner peace. And yes, we would appreciate any contributions. And yeah, so without further ado, I would like to bring our speaker on board tonight. Let's just add him to the stage. Welcome, Emmanuel. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for the welcome and the introduction. And to any of the viewers that have joined us, thank you for joining us. And we are going to share with you our topic of how to bring meaning instead of doing things to find meaning. And let's see how that works out. Maybe you enjoy it. And if you do, please let us know. And if you don't enjoy it, also let us know so that we are able to do something with it. Thank you for the introduction again, Linda. Linda, would you put up the presentation, please?
Absolutely.
So what you would see there is, Linda, are you able to make it just a little bit bigger so that our viewers have a clear view of what we are saying? Thank you very much. So there you see the 5 insights in your unique life. We profess here at Peace Evolution that we all have our own unique life. I like to add to that as unique as our fingerprint, our own life, instead of a life where we are following the status quo, which, as it stands today in humanity, the status quo is we do whatever we are able to do primarily to make money. We gear our lives, we live our lives primarily to make money. Whereas at Peace Evolution, we say that is not our ideal life. Our ideal life is where we do the things uh, in a way of liking what we do as the primary reason for our existence, and consequent to that, as a secondary focus, we then focus on making money to pay the bills. Now, what today is going to be about is the 5 insights into that unique life where our focus is on liking what we do. And in my life, what I found was the very, very first question that I had in my own life was, what is the meaning of my life? I could not live as I was brought up. I could not live from what I was seeing around me. And I was interested to find what the meaning is of my life. That also led to, as time progressed, I found something else, and that was yearning for a different life. And as time further proceeded and continued along my path, I realized there was something else at play, and that was something felt missing. So, on the one side, I started off my journey at a young age of saying, what is the meaning of my life? That then went to yearning for a different life, and consequent also something felt missing. And what we are about here at Peace Evolution is to bring light onto why did I have those thoughts? Why did I have that yearning? Why did I feel that something is missing? And that is what our talk is going to be about today. And but not what inspired me to go for this journey I went on, but rather to um, to see what it looks like after finding the answer to those 3 questions, the answer to the something feels missing, the answer to um, yearning for a different life, and the answer to something um, feels missing. So, having said that, there is our video that Linde put on the screen, the answer to what is missing in your life. These are all videos that we made before, and they would be found. Linde, would the links to those be found in the chat? How would people find those links?
It will be available on the replay video, and we will also add the link on the chat for viewers.
Okay. Thank
Emmanuel,
you,
can I
Linde.
quickly thank you so much for that beautiful introduction and setting the scene. Can I quickly help you with your background?
Yes, please.
Just go to your settings, Emmanuel, and then your virtual background and see
Yes.
if that background is still available.
The background is here and it is selected, but for some reason it is not showing.
Oh, okay, that's strange. Okay, Monel, no problem. Let's continue. Let me just add the
Okay.
screen again.
Thank you, Linda, and thanks for that assistance. Okay, so I've now set the scene of peace evolution is presenting this message today, and also I am setting the scene of once you have moved out of the way the primary goal of looking for money to liking what you do. Now, Linda, I would like you to open the top left, the freedom of choice, and then I'd like you to focus in on that so that it's nice and big for everybody to see. Now, on my journey, I would like to start by saying this. Thank you, Linda, when I had the words and when I asked the words, um, what is the meaning of this? I didn't know where that journey was going to lead. And consequent, I then came across many, many things on the path. Certain things led me nowhere and I needed to backpedal. Certain things led me somewhere and part of the way, and then I needed to backpedal. Um, and a major thing that came up along the way was the thing about freedom of choice. Now, I've heard several people say just because they are able to make choices that they are free and they have freedom of choice. I've heard many different or several different uh, vantage points and stances of freedom of choice. However, that is that is easier said than done, and it works like this. Um, on the one hand, you've got a life which we refer to as the second choice self, and that is modeled on the status quo that we have all around us. And peace evolution also discovered and coined the phrase of a first choice self. Now, the only way to get from the second choice self to the first choice self is to exercise your freedom of choice. Now, that freedom of choice is not some watered down version, but the actual version of freedom of choice. Um, and that is going to assist with being able to make the step change to the first choice self. Linda, could I ask? Thank you. You read my mind. So, the most important ingredient to make this step change is that, first of all, you recognize that there is the dynamic of the second choice self and the first choice self. And by looking at the videos we spoke about, they are explained in detail. Now, that is a point. Make that distinction, understand that there is a first choice self and there is a second choice self. And then, of course, how to get to the first choice self is, of course, that you would, in that decision, in that step change, you would be exercising your freedom of choice not the choice of having a blue car or a red car, or living in a flat, or living in an apartment, or living in a house. Those are options. That's not what we talk about when we refer to freedom of choice. So the most important ingredient for the step change is that you understand the notion of the first and the second choice self, and that what follows on that is that you are freeing yourself from the fear of your factor X. I'd like to just stop on factor X for a moment. Factor X is a phrase that we use at Peace Evolution, which depicts either I'm a nobody, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, there's no space for me here, I'm a failure. So instead of mentioning all those words continuously, we refer to factor X. And factor X is, of course, the notion that um, says to us, um, we need to understand that, and that factor X is that fear of I'm unworthy, as an example, or I'm a nobody, as another example, and then my second choice self is based on living to disprove that. It's not living to be me, it's living to disprove that I am unworthy or I am a nobody. And the end of that realization is then there exists the possibility that you can exercise your freedom of choice, which brings you as a once-off event from your second choice self, where you see it, you say, that's not for me anymore, and I'm going to make the step change to the first choice self. So that is, in fact, when people talk of freedom of choice, if you are not looking at the version that I just described, the one where there's a fear that I'm unworthy, second choice self, to the first choice self where I'm not afraid to be me. I don't need to prove anything. That is then freedom of choice, the true meaning of freedom of choice, where I'm able to exercise that decision and that choice, and I then, in that moment, rid myself of factor X. I overcome that fear, and I am then living a first choice self life. So, Linda, I want to stop here and ask, is there any comments from yourself or anybody about freedom of choice and what it means and how we see it, and all the other versions of freedom of choice that is used?
Nothing from my side at this stage, Emmanuel, and we don't have any comments yet. So please continue.
Okay, thank you, Linda. So having said that, so now we just touched on the second choice self, we touched on the first choice self, we said you exercise your freedom of choice to be able to make the step change. Now, once you've made the step change, let's have a look at what that looks like. So the very first point that you are going to see there is that we talk of meaning. And I'm going to mention the second one as well. So there's meaning, there is source that we are going to talk about, there is money, there's decisions, and then there is healing. So the moment I make the step change from the second choice self to the first choice self, those are the 5 insights. That there are more, but those are the 5 main ones. Meaning, and we elaborate on that in a minute. Source, and that is an interesting one that we are going to elaborate. Then, how does money play a role? If money is not the primary, but liking what I do is the primary reason. Um, and then also, how does my decision making, my decisions, how is that impacted? And then lastly, healing. So, of course, healing is a very big thing in terms of peace evolution, but let's take them one at a time. So, Linda, let's start with meaning and talk a little bit about meaning. Okay, thank you very much. So, the moment we make that step change, of course, your life is meaningful. The craving that I had by asking the question, what is the meaning of it? Then suddenly your life is meaningful, and you know why you get up in the morning, you know why you do whatever you do. It's not just something, it is meaningful, and you know it's meaningful. And let's go to the next point after meaningful. And we see there that you recognized your purpose. So, as part of your first choice self, you would have recognized your purpose, and um, your life then revolves around your purpose that you recognized. And consequent to that, you also recognize that you are the source of your life. So those are both past tense that we, under meaning, realize is that we recognized our purpose, we recognize that we are the source of our life, and you also live your unique vision. Now, the concept of meaning encompasses what we are mentioning here, and you live your unique meaning. So once you've got your unique vision, or once you have your purpose, you would, through your purpose, you would see the vision of your life, and that would be totally unique to you. It's not the same as mine. It's not the same as anybody else that you know. Your vision is unique to yourself. And if we take that a step further, we also see that you are assertive. You are not umming and ahhing. You are assertive. You understand what you are doing. You understand why you are doing it. And that's encapsulated in being assertive. You live your honesty. There's nothing about that. I see everywhere how much lying is going on, how much hiding of the truth, how many lawyers exist to help people get past things that they have done, which were all based on not being honest. You also live your integrity. And so, what I would like to just do here is stop just for a moment after we've shown the next one, Linde. You also live your vision. Now, there we are. So, Linde, just scroll so that we can see the whole focus point. There we are. So, first of all, we're talking of meaning. Your life is meaningful. You recognized your purpose. Together, you would have recognized your purpose. You would have recognized you are the source of your life. You live your unique vision. You are assertive. You are honest. You live your integrity, and you live your vision. Now, what I'd like to emphasize here, this is not something that you need to have written down somewhere and you then open up a book or a note that you made for yourself or a post-it that you made for yourself or something that you need to go and look up every day to see, oh, what are the things I need to be living like? No, these are automatic. The moment you make your step change, these things are automatic in your life. You live your meaning based on that focus point, all automatic. It's not something that you have to scratch your head about, that you have to remember, that you have to be able to recite. It is just how it is when you make that step change to your first choice self. And that's what we are covering now, what it looks like after making that step change. Okay, any comments, any questions, any asking for clarity? Okay, then look, let's go to the next focus point, and that is source. Now let's have a look at what source is. So what you would also recognize is that you have a job for life. I'd like to stop at this point for a moment. At the moment, the way humanity is wired right now, in our second choice self status quo that we are chasing as humanity, it's all about money. No matter what, it's all about money. And then we look for how are we able to earn the best money, and then we do it. We find ourselves a job in that. We might go and study for that. No matter how we do it, that is finding a job for ourselves to make money. Something else that also is at play, we might be very, very hard up, so we take the first next job. We might be studying something and we need to pay the bills, so we take up some job to be able to pay the. Now, not much changes, but instead of needing to second guess what is it that my life is about, under I am the source, I have a job for life. So I know exactly what I'm going to do with my life. There's no need to think about it any further. I'm looking for ways to manifest that. My vision helps me see how I am manifesting that, and therefore you have a job for life. So you are always employed, in a sense, by manifesting what you are about. No second guessing. The next point then is, as the source of your life, you create a unique life by not needing anything first. So I need to stop here and elaborate. So let's say that I'm in a career, I'm in a job, and it's about making money. Then I realize I first need this, I first need this, I first need this, I first need this, and I go through all sorts of things. I need to have a partner, I need to have a house, I need to have a dwelling, I need to have this qualification, I need many, 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 many things to be myself. Whereas the contrary is actually the case. In this particular focus point, we are saying you create your unique life by not needing anything first. You start off from not needing anything, and as you are living your unique life, on top of that, not needing anything first, you create your life, you create your unique life, and you have a job for life based on that. And then the other characteristics of this particular side of things under source is that making mistakes does not deter you. Instead, it liberates you. So in conventional work or in the family structure or in anything, we are supposed to not make mistakes. In you living your life, your unique life, making mistakes is part and parcel of that life. It does not deter you, it liberates you. Um, so the, the, the life is freeing. It's not constraining you. You don't have to be something. You don't have to prove anything. You are just being what you are. And that is how it is. And then if we take it a step further, you bring your uniqueness and your beauty via your skills. So keep in mind now, right now, you have some skills, you have some talents, you have some temperament. It doesn't matter what that is. And as a result of this job that we are talking about for life, you bring your uniqueness and your beauty via those skills and talents and temperament. But now the interesting thing is, if you realize, oh, but I need to be able to do something that I don't know how to do, you then simply acquire that, whatever that might be. Let's say, in my own case, there was a time when I realized that I would like to improve my writing skills. And so I took a course on creative writing. It's as simple as that. We have our existing skills, we have our talents, we have our temperament, and nothing stops us from adding to that. And as we then say there, you bring your uniqueness and your beauty via skills, talents, temperament to whatever you do. The other side of it is that you work for yourself. You are not working for a company. You are working for yourself. It does not have to be a business. It could be a business in any shape or form. You are working for yourself. You are not beholden to anybody else. And consequent to that, if we now look back at all the experience that you've gained up to the point before you make the step change, that is invaluable. All experience that you have is invaluable. You have first-hand experience, you have lived experience. You can't get that at a university, at a college, at a school, at doing any course. That is your experience. That is part of what you picked up along the way. And you then have that as part of being the source of your life, living this job that you have for life. The other side is that no one drives you, um, no thing drives you. You are just being you moment for moment, and there's no need for you to need somebody to drive you. You are just being you. You are consumed and immersed in your life. You are immersed in what you do with your life. And there's no need for anything or anyone to drive you. Then If we take that a step further, as we say there, you live by the beat of your heart. You don't have to go and read up somewhere, how should I be now? Your heart tells you uh, what you're doing, why you are doing it, and what the next steps are. Linda, so thank you for taking us through those focus point visuals. Again, any questions, any clarity from anybody?
Yes, Emmanuel, perhaps we can just discuss an example of how this would look in real life, living as the source of your life. So perhaps maybe let's take an example. Um, let's say you are um, going to university to study something specific, um, to add to your skills and your talents. Um, but that reason is not to prove to anybody about who you are. Um, would you say that that is an example of living as the source of yourself?
Thank you for that question and that example, Linda. That is a tricky one. So let me start off by saying that I would think it's highly unlikely that anybody would would need something like what is offered at a technical college, at a university, at any institution of teaching or learning. But I would like to draw on an example in my own life. So, in my own life, I worked conventionally for very many years. In fact, I'm still working conventionally while we are we are establishing peace evolution. And I realized that in my career, there were three main points. Early on, I focused around a particular role. Then, at a later point, in terms of needing certain information as part of my skills and talents, as you are asking now, I switched roles from one role to another, and I found myself a job where I could get first-hand knowledge of that particular uh, 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 career or job or skill. I then went a step further and I realized, but one of my strengths is to work with people and also to work to get a particular product that is being developed, like what we are doing here at Peace Evolution as we are establishing Peace Evolution, or in a conventional sense, where we are creating products that we sell for money. I also realized that in that delivering of product value, I was also well suited, and I then reskilled for the second time in my life, where I trained formally and wrote the exam and passed to be a Scrum Master. So what I saw is to get from from the journey I was on to get to my first choice self job and making a living from my first choice self job. I needed to, in the meantime, pay the bills. And I used my conventional work to get and to pay the bills, to get work in my conventional skills. That led me, after several years, into reskilling once, which brought me closer to what we need at Peace Evolution. And then 2 decades later, I realized I have another skill that I've honed over the years, lived experience, and I did another step change, and I became what I now refer to as a Scrum Master, encapsulating my liking to work with people and my ability to see how we from inception of just thinking about it to actually going live with a product, whether that is something we develop in the computer industry or whether that is something that we here in Peace Evolution, we are establishing a business, we need all the building blocks and to get that from one step to another. So what I'm sharing here is firsthand experience of step changes I made over time to get me to where I was proficient in building the building blocks of living my first choice self from a earning money point of view. Does that example, I turned your example into an example from myself, does that give some clarity as to how what that would look like?
Absolutely, Amonio. And I think it's going to tie in very nicely with the next section that you're going to talk about.
Okay, and what is that one, Linda?
Let me get it up. That is insight into money.
Okay, let's talk about that. Linda, I put onto the screen to remind people to like, subscribe, and get notified and to comment. We'd love to hear from them. And also, uh, we would like to also hear comments, even if you disagree with what we are saying. We don't have any particular preference as to whether you should agree with what we are saying or not. Okay, so let's look at money. So Linda, please just make that a little bit bigger again. So regarding making money, the first thing is, but I need to stop here to give it real context. So my questioning started by saying, what is the meaning of? I was primarily going to work to earn money. The first time that question came into my consciousness was roughly at the age of 23, where I said, what is the meaning of my life? It doesn't make any sense just to work, to earn a living, to do the things that I thought were important. That then went on a journey, that then resulted that I went on a journey to find what I was, why I asked that question. One thing led to another, and then suddenly one day, and it wasn't sudden, but let's just say suddenly one day, I see exactly what it is that my life is about. And I now make the step change from conventional living of working for money primarily to pay the bills to now making money from liking what I do. And that is not something that just happens overnight. I found in my own case, I needed to go over um, down several paths. I attempted this, I attempted that, I attempted very, very many things to make money as a secondary from liking what I do, not the primary. And of course, that's easier said than done. And part of what we do at Peace Evolution is to provide the guidance of getting from a conventional job, searching for money only, attempting to make headway of a life that is just all about money, making money, and then somehow spending time to to use the money that we've got, to from that money that we've now earned, attempted to extract meaning from that, to now the other way around, where I'm now living my first choice self life, where it is about liking what I do, but it's not overnight that I'm going to now earn an income from that. So, first of all, there's that realization, then all the different things that's needed. And as per your example that you asked now, I did step changes along the way, switching my day job from this role to that role. And furthermore, and again, once more, and each time those step changes fed into me being able to make a living out of liking what I do. The consequence is we still need to pay the bills. We can do whatever we want, but we still need to pay the bills. And as as we see there on the screen, the secondary focus is on making money to pay the bills. If we take that a step further, we also say that any money you use is without agenda. Just one moment there, please. Any money that we use is without agenda. We just use the money for its primary purpose. Let's go to the next one, please. And this is not an easy dynamic to get. However, we would not get away from that reality where the things that we buy, whatever those things are, the primary reason for that is, let's say we buy a car, it is for transport. That doesn't mean I need to get an old broken down vehicle. It just means I'm going to get transport because I need to get from A to B, and I'm going to get that from whatever means I have at the time. I don't have the vehicle or the transport, be it a car, be it a two-wheeler, be it that it might be. It's not about the extracting value from that. It is really just the transport. So we buy things, you buy things you need for their primary value, meaning the car is for transport, etc. If we go a little bit further, now you could sit with another situation altogether where you, in your second choice self life, before you made the step change, you could have accumulated debt, you could have a lifestyle that's quite expensive, and your your liking what you do life has the potential to only earn relatively small money, modest money, where you make money, but it's modest in the beginning. And now, on the one hand, you sit with lots and lots and lots of money that you need every month. And on the other hand, what you're earning from your new career of liking what is not a lot of money, which then means you need to take whatever steps you conjure up to get from needing a lot of money to needing little money. And you might take years to just slowly evolve and to curb that spending, um, and to come to a point where you cut your cloak from the cloth that you have, as opposed to now you need a lot of money from your second choice self because you were doing these things for status, for whatever value you extracted out of it. The end result is your newfound life is not going to give you that comparable income. And that transition from the one to the other could take years, years and years. That doesn't deter you for the simple reason you see the reasoning behind it. You see the meaning of it and why you find yourself where you are. And consequently, you embrace that. So that is the story of the money. Linda, could I ask that you just enlarge it a little bit? The text is quite small, just a little bit around the money. Okay, that's a little bit better, not much better, but that is a little bit better. So that is the story about money and the likely transitioning from needing lots of money every month through a lifestyle that you personally concluded has no meaning. You are now switching to a lifestyle that has meaning, and you need to get the need for lots and lots of money to less and less money. However, you embrace that and you make the adjustment um, easily, it does not deter you. So, having said that, any questions or clarity that is needed, maybe? Linda, from your side, anything?
Thank you, Manuel. Again, I think it would be nice to just talk about some examples here. Um, Perhaps let's look at we often hear people say, but I need to survive. Where is there going to be time? I need to look after my family. I need to, where's the time for me to get to a place where I like what I do um, and earn money? Is this actually possible? And how do I bring in the balance that earning money is not bringing me meaning, um, that it's actually just supporting um, what I like doing.
Okay, Linde, I think I got the question. And as I see it, I'm probably going to draw on my own experience again. So I'd like to start at the point of I had a lifestyle. It cost a certain amount of money each year, each month, each week, each day. I was using my credit cards. I am now in a situation where that requires so much money. And I then realize, but that life has no meaning for me. So please remember the crux of the matter. It's not just something that somebody tells me. It's not some decision that somebody brought to me. I exercised my freedom of choice after seeing my second choice self does not serve me. I then saw the life that I see I want to live, that is based on liking what I do. And I now see everything in context. It is not just something that somebody lands on me. If I did not make the step change by exercising my freedom of choice, I would see this as an insurmountable, massive thing that I'm not worth, that I'm not prepared to do. But making the decision that I'm going to make the step change out of that freedom of choice, I, of course, do that without any consideration for the consequences. I just know the life that I have and the money that I'm spending in that life that I have, no matter what, brings me no meaning. So at the heart of it, I made the step change from a place within me that said, no matter the consequences, I'm making this step change. Now that I've made it, and without needing anything, as we say, you need no thing to be yourself, even not money, you then put into motion a plan, whatever that plan might be. Let's say in a very expensive family situation, if you feel that that brings you meaning and you want to go on like that, or it's not about meaning and you don't want to go on like that, you could change your lifestyle. You would downsize and downsize and downsize, and your family might kick and scream as a result of that. Your family would not understand that. But please remember, the main thing is you exercised your freedom of choice to say, this is not for me. The second choice self life is not for me. I am switching to the first choice self. Then you are able to put in motion whatever is needed. And as I was saying there, it won't deter you. You, in fact, would be comfortable to make those changes. You would, in fact, embrace it. But I think what we need to make sure of to convey the message is that you had made a choice to free yourself from your belief that you need to prove something to yourself or to anybody else. Consequent to that, you unfolded however you see would work. Linda, did that help by just bringing in the reminder, why am I finding myself in this position?
Absolutely. there has to be a intention to make that choice. Um, and I
Uh,
guess taking the responsibility and being accountable um, to go that route.
Correct. Correct.
Okay,
Okay. Shall we go to the next focus point? Anything else
absolutely.
before we go to the next focus point?
No, all good.
Okay. Right. So let's look at decisions. So in one of the other focus points, I we spoke about we spoke about living your wisdom. Now I found myself in my second choice life that I didn't know how to make decisions. I would write the pros and cons down. I would weigh up the one side to the other side. I would do all sorts of things to figure out, well, should I do this or should I do that? Of course, now as the first choice self, um, the decision making is simplified. Now, the reason why we labor decisions is that we always live under this wanting to prove our factor X, wanting to prove that we are somebody, wanting to prove that we are worthy. Now, we are constantly weighing up our decisions against that, whether we know it or not, whether we realize it or not, whether we admit it or not. But there's this constant notion of when I'm busy making decisions that it needs to adhere to certain things. Whereas as the first choice self, I just make the decision from my heart. I say, I need to cut my expenses as an example. And I cut my expenses in any which way that I'm able to. There's no need to labor it. I need to stop doing certain things that have even become difficult habit shape. Let me give an example. I could be a smoker. Now, while I was smoking, and the reason why I started smoking is one thing. Now it's become a habit and it's difficult to shake. It's very, very difficult to shake. An example is smoking. But we realize in my own case, I was a drinker and I was a smoker. I realized that exactly why I started smoking. I also realized exactly why I started drinking. And I realized in the same moment that that does not serve me anymore. I've outlived the original need for that. And I stopped immediately. The decision making is not a list of pros and cons. Oh, I need to because of this. Oh, my health. Oh, my that. All these different things. I just stop because I see why I started. I see it does not serve me. And that's just a few smaller examples that I gave about decision making. It is simplified. We don't need to labor decisions. I'm going to use an example now, which please give it some thought. Why should the biggest decision in your life be any different? Do you feel like coffee or tea or water or nothing? Why should it be any different? Would you like some tea or coffee or water or nothing? And the answer is very simple. I would like coffee. No, I would like some tea. or yes, I would like some water, or I don't feel like anything to drink at the moment. Any of your biggest, most difficult decisions, my 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 question here to everybody is, why should any of those biggest decisions be any more or less difficult than would you like tea or coffee or nothing? Do you take milk in your coffee? Do you want it without cream? Do you take sugar? Do you want it black? Whatever the case might be. Why should it be any different? And of course, that's why we are laboring it, because we extract value from if we made the right choice or if we make the wrong choice, we are yet again emphasizing that we are, let's say, not worthy. So that is um, about laboring decisions. Now, I'd like to bring the other point, and that is my decision making does not define me. So I make a decision purely because I make a decision. It might be completely, at the time, something that does not work for me. However, making that decision and it works or it doesn't work does not define me. I don't need to labor my decision making because I want to extract value that it says, oh, I'm now worthy. None of that applies anymore. The other side of things is also um, that I'm able to quite easily think outside of the box. I don't need to be constrained. So the moment I'm constrained, my choices are limited because they are all based on a successful outcome. The moment I'm not needing to extract that value, all my decisions are very simple. I don't need to labor them. I'm able to think out the box. I even have more options than the constraint I have when every decision has to be successful. Let's take my decision making a little bit further. And that is, you are creative in your decision making. You are not constrained. If we take it a step further, we are also innovative. And as I mentioned previously, it does not define me. I would like to reach a certain outcome. I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to be creative about a particular point. I'm going to be innovative. Whether that works out or not, it does not define me. And I'm easily able to very quickly go through 25 things to get somewhere in some outcome that I'm looking for, whereas I could have still been laboring with a pros and cons list and not made any decision yet. Okay. My decisions are also confident. I am confident. I know I don't need to be successful in my decisions, whether there's something that is a mistake or not. I just get on with it. I don't need to prove anything to myself or anybody. And consequent to that, I also find in my decision making that I'm courageous. Okay, so that is the point about decisions. Any clarity, anything from your side, Linde, that you would like to ask or mention?
Yes, Emmanuel. For viewers, I think a lot of people wonder about, am I making the right decision or am I making the wrong decision? Perhaps we can talk about this belief or perception about making right or wrong choices.
Okay, gladly. So I need to then also just step back and say that um, what would make a decision right or what would make a decision wrong? So we've got two perspectives going. As a second choice self, my decision making defines me. So I need to always be spotless with my decisions because they define me. Once I've made the step change and I've exercised my freedom of choice, and I then live my first choice life, and I want to get from A to B, whatever that might be, because a decision is getting you from A to B. It is, for instance, a matter of, I would like to use peace evolution as an example. Before the name peace evolution existed, it was called something completely different. I had a different name for it. Subsequent to that, I had a second company. Subsequent to that, I had a third company. Now, I realized that all these different paths that I was pursuing was, first of all, too much work. If I made a change to the one, I I found myself needing to make the change to the other one. It was just too cumbersome. It, it was labor intensive. And I came to a conclusion one day that it would be better suited to have one name to encapsulate what liking what I do was about. And so, as the founder of Peace Evolution, I then could not see the way clear to make the various businesses into one. And then one day I saw the picture. I saw exactly how it would become easily done, but it was still going to be labor intensive. But once I broke the various businesses down and brought them into Peace Evolution, from there on, work that was needed to maintain Peace Evolution was not required to various businesses. So that is an example of decision making, taking one decision, doesn't work, too much this, too much that, it just doesn't work. And I then made the step change, and eventually everything added into the phrase or the name of the business, Peace Evolution. And that was done for two reasons. The one is to eliminate all the duplication of having more than one business, number one. And number two, to have a name that easily exemplified I was doing at the time and wanting to achieve at the time. Linda, is that an example that works?
Absolutely. Thank you, Monyo.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so now we come to the fun part, and that is the healing part. Now, why do I say this is the fun part? Of course, seeing the very first focus point under healing is you evolve in a peace. So the moment you make the step change by exercising your freedom of choice, and you land yourself into your first choice life, the very first thing that you did in that switch, in that step change, in that removing the split from your life, you evolve in a peace. So that means you yourself saw that your life did not have meaning. You saw what what is needed for you to get to your life having meaning, and you made the step change, and in that you automatically evolved in a peace within yourself. And by taking that a step further, in that step change, you also automatically heal yourself. It's not something that you need to do first. Just in doing that, you heal your life, and it's automatic. We take that a step further by saying you look internally at how you cause a physical disease. I'd like to stop here and just talk about it. So imagine this now, that as the second choice self, we have this list of pros and cons before we make decisions. We labor decisions. We are always in this mode of wanting to prove or disprove. We are not just doing. Now, those, of course, result in blockages in the energy flow in our lives. So the energy is not flowing without being hindered. Your energy is impacted by, now you make a decision. Is this decision right? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Am I extracting value when I make the decision this way? Am I losing value if I make the decision that way? What would so and so think about if I did this? What would happen to my finances if I did that? So the moment there's that going on, the energy is not flowing in a healthy way through our body because of the lack of inner peace, the turmoil that is going on while I need to make a decision, the turmoil that I'm going through while I'm constantly looking to somehow prove that I'm worthy. All of that results in blockages of the flow of the energy through my body. And many, if not all of the diseases, and I'm saying dis dash ease, those diseases that we might have come from that energy that's not just flowing through our bodies. It's got all these hurdles, all these constraints that it is finding because of us wanting to prove and getting stuck on our decisions. Now, um, the chances are very, very good that any disease that we have, disease, any physical disease, is maybe something that we conjured up ourselves in terms of wanting to prove or disprove worthiness. So let's go on to the next point, and that is that from your quiet inner state, from your quiet inner peace state, let me correct that, from your quiet inner peace state, you prevent the causing of the disease. The energy is just flowing. You don't have the turmoil in your mind of needing to prove or needing to disprove or labor a particular point because are you making a mistake? Aren't you making a mistake? You've liberated yourself from all of those and you prevent causing the dis-ease. And that is because your energy is just flowing. You are not attempting to be something that you are not. Okay. As part of this healing is you heal your body's ailments. Whatever ailment you might have, I would like to give an example. It could be weight. It could be, let's say, you have cholesterol. It could be any disease. You could have back pain, chronic back pain. You could have high blood pressure. So any of those body ailments could be the cause of that could be the fact that my energy is not flowing simply because I'm constantly wanting to prove or disprove. Now, when I make the first choice self switch by exercising my freedom of choice to get to evolving my inner peace, let's look at this dynamic now. I could have established cholesterol in my body. I could already have established an overweight situation in my body. I could have already established a high blood pressure, whatever the case might be. That is not going to just disappear overnight in a jiffy, but because your mind is now not stopping the flow of energy, you are now able to also reverse in different ways by changing what you eat, by changing what you consume. You might have a heavy intake of added sugar. You might be a smoker. You might be taking drinking lots and lots of alcohol. You might be eating far too much food because of comfort eating. So because you've now adjusted your mind in the jiffy by switching to your first choice self, you are now super conscious of all the things that you did before. And that's why by seeing that, you were able to make that, able to exercise your freedom of choice. And now you also have the ability to heal your body ailments. I would like to give an example. Let's say I'm 50 kgs overweight, as an example. It doesn't mean that when I make that switch, the 50 kgs disappear. But I would be addressing the root cause of how I accumulated the additional kilograms that I'm carrying. And I would then set in motion as part of my first choice self-living, the healing by looking carefully at what I consume, and I would then slowly start addressing that until I'm at the body weight that is um, conducive for my body size. I would also stop the smoking. I would see that it's not necessary. I would stop the consuming of alcohol. I would see it's not necessary. I would even start changing immediately my eating habits to remove the fact that I've got cholesterol. So because my mind is healthy, I would automatically heal my body of its ailments. Would not necessarily happen overnight or in the moment that you make the step change, but all that healing is possible. The consequence of that is slowly over time, you would not need to visit medical practitioners, or from time to time you would, but it would be rare. It's not something that every 2 minutes I heal me. I would look at my mental patterns, and consequent to my mental patterns, I would then correct that because now I see how I scuppered my life, how I scuppered my health. And these are just very simplistic examples that I gave. The same with high blood pressure, that in my patterns in my life, I might be consuming unhealthy foodstuffs. I might get very angry because I have expectations. There are so many things that I would now see and just stop with. And consequently, healing would start from that moment as I evolve my inner peace. And I'm at peace, I would also be able to heal my body. And that, in a nutshell, is about the healing. Now, you would also maybe have suffered that you don't have energy, that you don't have stamina, because your energy flow is now reinstated to serve your body. There would be a healthy energy flow. You would automatically have stamina, and you would also automatically have energy to live and do the things that you are interested in doing. If we take it to the next point, you would also realize, note these words, you would realize that you eat what you are. If your mind is all unhealthy, if the way that your mind is keeping you trapped in your second choice self, you would eat very differently, but you would eat what you are. You would eat from a mind that's not healthy. So therefore, you would consume things that would not be healthy for you. The moment you make the step change, it's still true. You eat what you are. Because you are now healthy in your mind, you have peace. There's no need to prove anything. You would also then automatically um, still eat what you are, but now because your mind is healthy, you would eat in a healthy way and cut out all the things that you had before that was not being conducive to have a healthy body. As part of the healing to the next step is also you are self-caring. So as I was saying on a few points now, from your body point of view, you are self-caring. From your mind point of view, you are self-caring. You switched into evolving inner peace, and that peace emanates through your life, through your way of living, and you become self-caring. And then we get to the other point is, and this is significant, and it's all automatic in the sense that because you now don't need to take or extract value from what you do. You you don't have the need anymore to extract value from what you do. Instead, you bring your own, as we said right there in the beginning, you bring your own meaning to what you do. You don't need to extract meaning. And consequent to that, automatically, you care for yourself, you care for everyone, and you care for everything by the mere means that you don't take, but that you provide value. Your own meaning is woven into everything that you do. Linda, I think we got to the bottom of the healing.
Yes, we did, Emmanuel.
Okay, so let me
So,
just recap, Linda.
mm,
So the five insights of your unique life is there is the component that we discussed about meaning, about you are the source, about money, about decisions, about healing. There are probably many, many more, but those are the ones we wanted to discuss today. Back to you, Linda.
thank you, Emmanuel. I've just been informed my volume is a little bit high. Just give me a moment.
Your volume is perfect, thank you.
Okay. Right. So I think it is important to mention to our viewers that we can look at our lives and say, "Oh, we are overweight, or we don't earn enough money," and it's not about treating the symptom. So we can look at being overweight and saying, "Oh, I need to lose weight, so I'll eat better." If you look at the root of that, like Emmanuel said, it's when we see that our minds are not in a healthy place, and we are not allowing that flow of energy through our life, uh, then we won't be automatically just living that life. Um, so I think it's important to remember that, because it's not a we wanting to fix something. It's not placing a heaviness on anyone to say this is how you need to be. It's realizing and seeing that there's this life that you can live that is free. um, so I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Emmanuel.
Linda, that was a beautiful summary. Thank you. No need to add anything to it.
Okay, perfect. Let me just see if there's any comments or anyone in the chat that wants to add anything. Okay, no, that seems like we're all good for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and Emmanuel for sharing these wonderful 5 insights into living this unique life as our first choice self. And we'll see you next time.
Okay. Linda, could I just add to that?
Yes,
Okay. So, of course, we are going to jump for joy when we get your comments, and we are going to use those comments to maybe create some more videos or live streams about that. And then, of course, anybody watching, if this is something close to your heart, please let us know through your comments, um, through liking, through subscribing. And we are going to do these live streams more regularly than what we have in the past. Please be on the lookout for them, and also share with your friends, with your colleagues, with your family, with anybody who you think would benefit from this. Um, and of course, all the best with your own consideration and contemplating of whether you would want to make a switch from a second choice self life to a first choice self life. And we have the videos where we speak about that. You are going to find that in the replay of the live stream, in the comment section, in the description section of the video. And again, thank you to everyone and Linda for leading the live stream. Thank you very much for your leading there.
absolute pleasure. Okay. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.